Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. Orbiting this at a distance of roughly 92 million miles is an utterly insignificant little blue-green planet whose ape-descended life forms are so amazingly primitive that two of them still think doing a podcast called Digital Watches are a pretty neat idea is a pretty neat idea. These podcasters have, or rather had, a problem, which was this. Actually, this is the solution.
Hey, Brian, what's this?
Well, Jeff, this is the conglomeration of whatever the hell we want to talk about.
Sounds good. So this is going to have very little to do with Douglas Adams or Dirk Gently or Hitchhikers?
Well, actually, I think there is a bit of Douglas Adams in here, and that's kind of exciting. You're going to talk about your experience at the play.
Oh, right.
And then you and I are both going to talk about our experience recently at the convention that we attended.
FanEXPO Philadelphia.
That's right. So tell us, Jeff, what was it like seeing the play for a second time?
I'm glad I saw it a second time, but
great.
The first time was so fantastic because it was the first time and it was something new and it's something. So then when you go to see something again, that initial awe of, oh my gosh, I'm looking at Dirk Gently play on stage here in the suburbs of Chicago.
Right.
And you just kind of watch it so you can be a little bit more critical. You don't want to be, but you kind of end up being. So they had the deck stacked against them in a couple of ways. First, I don't think they sold as many tickets as they expected, combined with some bad weather during rehearsals, because this was supposed to be a bigger, better production on an outdoor stage. So production was going to be on the stage. We were going to be in the lawn watching whatever was going on. Well, weather was bad was the story I got. So the rehearsals weren't for that. They didn't have the thing open and they weren't rehearsing for the outdoor performance. Right. They rehearsed for an indoor performance.
Right.
The curtains and the doors of the stage, I guess, were closed, and there were 2 rows of chairs with your back to the curtain, which would be where the audience would be facing.
Okay.
So you're like right there, like you're right on the front of the stage watching them. That particular venue, we'll say, is not set up for sound. Because that's not where your audience is supposed to be.
Right, exactly.
When they built that venue, all of the sound system and everything is for projecting out onto the lawn.
Right.
So when they close everything and they put you in the same stage, sound was hard to hear.
Oh, geez. That does not make for a good play.
Not a fast-talking play.
No. And talking and language is what Dirk Gently is all about.
Yes. And as I mentioned, the lead, Dirk Gently, was played by a female.
Right.
It was not a female version of Dirk Gently. It was Dirk Gently played by a female, which was fine, except she was a little bit soft-spoken.
Oh, dear.
So where the original guy was very booming and loud, this made it even harder to hear because there's no miking or very little miking. And and so you're just in this big, because it's a band shell type of, I guess. It's not really a band shell, but you know what I mean. It's a great big theater. Open thing.
Yeah.
Right. And all of the, I don't know, sound design and the way the sound would echo is for out, not down to the front of the stage. So we really didn't benefit from any of the acoustics because it was all set up for something different. So she spoke quietly and she was difficult to hear. I'd seen it. I knew what she was saying, so it was easier for me to understand. I brought a friend. Denise was so happy that she didn't have to go again. I brought a friend with me. And he didn't not like it, but it was difficult to enjoy with the way that the sound was set up.
Right. That's unfortunate.
There were a couple things I did pay attention to, and I wanted to see if I could notice, because I didn't catch it the first time. The way they have it is Michael Wenton Weeks was the one in the trunk who killed Gordon. Okay. So before, I had no idea who it was that killed Gordon. It was just this mystery black figure that they never revealed who it was.
Okay.
But after he killed him, he did this kind of a laugh, and I could tell that it was the actor who played Michael.
Right.
And then later in the play, there was a very quick dialogue where Michael said something like, yeah, and then I killed Gordon, and then it just like flew right by. It's like, so he admitted to killing Gordon when he was on prehistoric Earth, dressed up in his scuba gear, ready to go out into the wild.
Right.
But, so maybe you can help me out with the timing of all of this.
Okay.
Gordon was on the phone to Susan's answering machine. When he was shot. Susan wasn't home because she was
on a date with Wenton Weeks.
Yes. So I don't know how that
it's an
happened.
alternate universe thing, I mean, it's a timeline thing, he's did two places at one time.
So yeah, so maybe we just saw them that close together, but it was actually way different. Like, this is the world of Douglas Adams.
Right.
And even though it wasn't written by Douglas Adams, that doesn't matter. You can make up some convoluted scenario where, we showed it at the same time, but that really happened at 3 a.m. when Susan was in bed. So that's why she didn't answer her phone. And this happened so much later, even though we showed it here. So anyway, that's...
Right. I believe in our previous conversation about the play, you had mentioned that Richard didn't have a motivation to going into Susan's apartment.
He did not.
Because he wasn't trying to retrieve the audio tape.
Right.
So the audio tape doesn't even play into the play that much, right?
No, except for the fact that the message was left on there by Gordon.
Okay.
And now that you mentioned it that way, that pretty much cements in time when Gordon was killed.
Right.
Because Richard took the tape, or in the book, he took the tape and put it back, and that had Gordon's murder on it.
Right. Which the policeman listened to and defined the time of the murder, and that got Richard, he wasn't even involved, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. But Richard went to take it, and while he was there trying to take it, Michael came home with Susan.
Right.
So he was with her.
Right. In the book, for sure, but not in the play. Apparently, different universe. You got to allow for these things.
Right.
So, other than the audio problems, what about the players, the actors?
Okay, the actors. The person who played Dirk the first time played Jilks this time.
Okay.
He was okay, but the person that played Jilks the first time was a female, and she was fantastic.
Right. That's unfortunate. Yeah.
The person who played his secretary, which was one of those, oh my gosh, I want to go see this again, just to watch the secretary,
Right.
she was recast.
Oh, dear. Okay.
And the other woman did a fine job, but it wasn't that performance that I saw with this other incredible actress. So,
no.
And if I would have seen them the other way around, maybe I would have liked all the others better.
Isn't that always the case? You wonder about, you wonder about that.
Yes. I read something about Portugal and Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, people have a favorite between Portugal and Spain. And pretty much all the time, the one they like better is the one they went to first.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Yep. So
I like the first one better because I went first. If it would have been switched, could have been the same thing. I'm trying to think if there's any other cast issues. Susan was the same, and she did her same fantastic job. Richard was the same, and he did his same fantastic job. So who else would be... Oh, Reg was the same, and again, he did his same fantastic job.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So all of that was familiar, and it was fun to watch that again. And the mixing up of the cast was a little disappointing for me. They did a fine job, but again, I was hoping to see a couple of things. I really wanted the woman who did the Dirk Gently role to just knock it out of the park.
Right. That would have been fun.
And I'm going to do a segue here.
Okay.
I wanted her to knock it out of the park in the exact same way I believe Jodie Whittaker knocked it out of the park when she played the Doctor on Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
And coincidentally, at FanEXPO Philadelphia, I got to meet Jodie Whittaker.
That's right. It's so funny. I was just thinking about the fact that we chose to do this little podcast in reverse chronological order, which is not surprising because
right.
The way our brains work, it seems perfectly logical.
Yes.
But you, in fact, attended this play after we had attended the FanEXPO in Philadelphia.
Correct. But, we got to get the important things out first.
That's right. Did you have any other interaction with the director or any other cast members? Or
on the way out, I did see the director, and it was the last day of the play this time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I saw it on Saturday before, so they
Right.
still had a Sunday performance. But I saw this one on Sunday, so this is the mad take everything down type of a thing. So on my way out, I saw him, so I wanted to just say hi to him, good job, and he saw me, he did recognize me, and then gave me the, oh, I've been so busy, sorry I didn't reply to your email.
Yeah, we know how that works.
Yes. I couldn't click reply and type sorry, no.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you never say no.
Right. Well, there is a way to say no without saying no. Something
yes.
Oh, what's the best one that our policy is?
Yes. Our policy is that's a good one. That's a good no. Yeah, I like that. Oh my goodness. So, anything else you'd like to say about the play?
No. I pretty much wrapped up.
That's perfect. I
pretty much wrapped up everything I wanted to say about that. That's why I kind of threw it into the FanEXPO Philly thing.
Oh, you got it. But speaking of the unexpected, I had a plan. I thought I had a plan. When we were going to FanEXPO, I remembered our previous experiences, and I was trying to surprise you with my plan.
Okay.
But my plan was based on our previous experience. And I have to say that the experience we had at FanEXPO in Philly this year was quite different. And what I'm specifically referring to is we didn't spend a lot of time just standing in line for autographs.
No, we didn't.
In the past, we'd done that extensively. And during those interactions, we got to know the people that were standing around us by communicating with them in on various subjects and that kind of thing. So
right.
My ridiculous idea was I brought my little portable recording device.
Oh, right. Yes. I remember you trying to make me carry that around.
And I imagined that we would be standing in line, speaking with some people, and I would ask them if they wanted to speak with us on our podcast. And then I was going to give you all this audio feed from our experience in Philly. And we were just going to fluff out this conversation with all these wonderful conversations that we had. But our experience this year was quite different. And in fact, I would venture to say that we only had one conversation of any significance, and even that was short-lived.
Right. So which conversation was that?
It was the one we had with the young lady who was in the wrong line.
Oh, right.
For her father.
Yeah, her dad was at the photo ops.
Yes, exactly. That was funny. So my little surprise and my little thought patterns for what we would have experienced in Philadelphia were quite different than what occurred.
Right. However, I will say that our experience was different, but it's the most fun I've had in a long time at one of those conventions.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that interesting? I mean, I agree with you 100%. I think we had more fun and just more pure enjoyment at this particular event than we've had in quite a number of them.
Because we weren't standing in line waiting for autographs. We were actually going out and seeing the panels and watching the celebrities talk and watching some wrestling.
Yes. It's funny. I would love to be able to remember in fine detail and relate back to our audience here specifically what we did and where we went, but my brain doesn't work that way.
So before we started, I did sit down and made a couple of notes to try and come up with what we did and who we saw. So we'll just start. There were 3 celebrities there that I was interested in getting trading cards signed. The first one, and these are in no particular order of favoritism or... Well, maybe they are in favoritism because they just kind of... The first 2 are almost interchangeable. But because he's a legend, John Carpenter, legendary horror director, was at the convention. And I did get his autograph, but we did watch his panel.
Right. Which
was kind of interesting. Because if you remember, he would say something like... Come on, people. What are with all these powder puff questions? Give me something with some juice or whatever. And somebody asked him something about his marriage to Adrienne Barbeau, and he said, I don't want to talk about that. My God, wait up. Don't stand there and complain.
Ask for spicy and then refuse to respond. Yeah. What was the most unusual about his speech was that he was one of the later ones that we went to.
Yes.
But at each and every one prior to that, the moderators were very specific about not taking questions from the audience.
Right.
If you wanted to ask a question at these panels this year, you were supposed to have submitted that prior to the event. They had a link that you could go to and submit questions, and that the moderator would then review them and pick the most appropriate or whatever. And then the moderator would ask the question, not the audience member.
Right.
But he kind of turned the table on us.
I want to go back to this policy because that was, to me, the worst policy ever in the history of policies.
I agree.
First of all, it wasn't just before or an hour before the panel you would submit questions. This was
Right.
before Fan Expo. Anybody in the world could submit a question. So it would have been nice to have questions from people in the room. Like if they did some kind of announcement or put in their programming, panel, John Carpenter, Sunday, 1:00 in the afternoon, start submitting questions at noon or 11. And then they've got, or from 11 to 12. From 11 to 12, come stuff your question in the box. And then from 12 to 1, the moderator or somebody from Fan Expo is going to go through all these questions and pull out the ones that they deem appropriate.
Right.
I will agree that there is a problem with people going to ask questions who, I don't want to say dumb question, but
it's more about the preamble and the postamble.
Right.
That the audience member stuff is a little bit awkward because there's always a build up and a conversation that takes place and they gotta thank people and all that kind of stuff. So by the time they get to the question, you've lost interest in the whole thing.
Right.
And then it's generally a question where the actor or the actress will say, yes, or no. And then you're like, okay, well, that was interesting.
If you remember, Saturday Night Live had a thing where Chris Farley was an interviewer, like for some sort of talk show, his own little private public access chat show or whatever. And he would get on these celebrities and he would say, hey, you remember that time that you did that and then this happened and then you said this? That was cool. That was his interview. So that's what happens at these conventions a lot of time.
Right.
When you just have random people, they don't jury the questions.
Right.
Or even if, you can't even do that because people will lie. If there was somebody in the back of the room, like everybody who wants to ask a question, line up in the back. And then you got a guy back there going, what are you going to ask? No. Next. What are you going to ask? No. Next. What are you going to... Okay, you can go to the front. And then he's going to ask something different than he said back there. So I wish it was more personal for the people who were in the audience to possibly hear their submitted question being read. But instead it was anywhere in the world, somebody asked a question and it was... I didn't like that. But like you said, John turned the tables and he said, no, I want them to ask the questions.
Right. And I don't recall there being any really good questions asked of John.
No. But I did have a favorite one.
Yes.
I don't know if it was something that was asked on the internet or if it was just the moderator asking it. But it was, do you watch horror movies and do you like horror movies? And it's like, yes, I like them and I watch them. And then he says, who here has seen The Substance? Which was pretty new and recent, the Demi Moore thing about, I'm not exactly sure, some kind of cosmetic enhancements things. And people are cheering, yeah. He goes, I hated it. He said it was cruel. I don't like cruel horror. You know, there's slasher horror is one thing, but it's just done animalistic. It's not an intentionally cruel horror. And so he said that's horror that he doesn't like.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I have to say, overall, the moderated questions weren't that bad. I mean, I did feel that it lacked the connection to the audience, but they were asked and answered more aggregate questions. Like they probably got 50 questions that were exactly the same and decided, okay, well, that's one we ought to ask. And then they got 50 more that were exactly the same. And then that's one we ought to ask. So they did ask questions that were at least relevant and seemingly pertinent. They didn't ask like off the cuff stupid questions like what's your favorite color, you know? So at least at that point I was like, okay, if you're going to crowdsource your questions, I could work with that. And, you know, AI has given us an opportunity where we could analyze all the data and come up with the best set of questions. But I'm not sure that they went quite that far, but they certainly could have. And that might have been a way of making that it work. But again, it did lack the personal connection to the audience for sure. But that's why we like the little meetups like with Helen Hunt.
Right. But that wasn't fan ask. That was all asked on the internet, right?
No, I think there were audience questions in Helen Hunt. I think there were a series of them that they asked from. Oh, now I'm questioning my thoughts.
No. There was John Cena. John Cena did. He said, no, screw that. I want the people to ask the question.
Oh, I got you.
And
maybe it was, that's what I was thinking.
And John Carpenter did the same thing. But no, we saw Jody and we saw Heather and we saw Helen and we saw Kate Mulgrew and Sonequa. But they were all internet questions.
Right. You are correct. I was mistaken. And that's so interesting because it reminds me of another event that occurred right at the same time that the FanEXPO event occurred. Last year, I went to the Gays in Space convention in Philadelphia. And that's where I got to see Kate Mulgrew speak. And that convention, like we talked about last year, was very intimate and very much like the old days when we used to go way back in the beginning. And Kate Mulgrew just dove into the audience. I mean, if she could have jumped out into the audience and hugged people, she would have. I mean, the conversation was personal. The conversation was direct. It was, loud and specific. And the people at that convention, we're talking way lower numbers of people, but the people at that convention got a very in-depth and a very passionate conversation out of their actors and actresses in their panels. But what happened this year was just prior to the convention, it was canceled.
No.
And the Gays in Space convention in Philadelphia, it's probably still repercussions going on about it. I didn't plan on attending, but it did create like a real shockwave here in the Philadelphia area for convention goers.
Anything more specific on the type of shockwaves? Who's saying what about what?
Right. Going back to my experience last year, I got to meet the gentleman who was the primary motivator for the program, the guy that was directly responsible for having everything happen in Philadelphia. And as I think I mentioned last year, he was very personable, a very nice guy, really went out of his way to make you feel comfortable and accepted. And I really enjoyed the conversations that I had with him. But he was not prepared for the impact of canceling the convention. Everybody's anger about their fees and when their refunds are coming, and how could he dare do this and all that. So the vitriol that was created by the audience that didn't get to attend really set him afire.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I see what you mean.
He wasn't prepared for that. So I haven't been following the story lately, but there was quite a bit of internet rancor going on back and forth.
So we will jump to the Helen Hunt panel that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very good, and I enjoyed listening to her, and she talked about Twister and some of that stuff and her time with Mad About You.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But other than that, there's not a whole lot I remember her talking about, other than she mentioned that her favorite author was Barbara Kingsolver, and she kept talking about a new book that she had out, Demon Copperhead, which is kind of a modern take on David Copperfield.
Mm-hmm.
And Barbara Kingsolver is one of Denise's favorite authors as well, so I made a mental note of that. But is there anything really that you remember from specifically that Helen talked about?
No, not specifically. I do appreciate that she was in a smaller arena, if you will.
Oh, right, yes.
And we were able to get rather close up, which was fun, that part I enjoyed.
Yeah, they had two different celebrity panel areas. There's the one big main stage, which before every panel that had a celebrity was on the main stage, regardless of how big their fan base was.
Right.
So you would have this giant area with somebody standing up there looking at a sea of empty chairs, but their first 10 rows of devoted followers were right there.
Well, actually, the first 4 were filled out with the superfans, and then the last 6 had about a dozen people in them.
Right. So this year, they had a regular small panel room. Well, I guess more of maybe a triple room. So you would take your regular conference convention room and you would open up the walls, and it would probably be a triple wide. And that's where we saw a couple of talks. I think we definitely saw Helen Hunt there. Did we see Jodie Whittaker there too?
I think we did. Yes.
Yes. But then John Carpenter was in the large one, and the combination Sonequa Martin Green and Kate Mulgrew, the women of Star Trek, they were also in the big main stage.
Yes. I'm just laughing because I remember it's funny to me, the conversation between Mulgrew and, I'm sorry, what's her name?
Sonequa Martin Green?
Sonequa.
So Kate Mulgrew plays Captain Janeway on Star Trek Voyager.
Right.
And she was the first female captain in Star Trek.
Right.
And Sonequa Martin Green is in the Star Trek Discovery, and she ends up becoming a captain. She doesn't start out that way. She starts out as a convicted, incarcerated criminal.
Right.
Who then becomes a starship captain in a very short amount of time.
Exactly. Yeah, and I found it really interesting because Kate is obviously not a Christian. But Sonequa is, and
yes,
that was a bit of a surprise. And what I found interesting is I would only have known the dynamic and how well Kate, I would say, I don't want to say composed, but maintained herself, because I saw a different picture of her at the Gaze in Space.
Right.
And she's a very politically motivated individual, and she does not hold back her opinions, but she was very gracious to Sonequa, and Sonequa was very loud about her Christianity, and
yes.
I was a little surprised about that, because you don't hear that much from actors and actresses. You really don't. So I thought it was... I was prepared for a much more uncomfortable conversation, but Kate didn't do that.
No, and even though there was a moderator up on stage that had a list of questions to ask, we almost just watched a conversation between Kate and Sonequa.
Yeah, and I liked that. I really did. I thought that was very well handled. Both of those ladies are extremely talented, and it was an interesting conversation.
Yes, it definitely was. Both of them came, I don't even know how to phrase this so I don't sound stupid, but both of them had incredible hurdles in front of them, and they built themselves up in the industry to reach points where each one has become the first woman captain, the first woman of color captain in the Star Trek universe.
Right.
Not an easy thing to do. The crap that people have to go through because they're female, because they're not white, is incredible. And they laid all of that out there. So that was the gist of most of the conversation, was all of the garbage that they both have gone through to get where they got. So it's funny, though, I was not aware until a month or so before going to this convention that Kate Mulgrew was not the original Star Trek Voyager captain. There was another woman who got cast.
Right. She
did the pilot, and it was horrible. Nobody liked it. So they ended up firing her, and then they called back Kate for a couple of auditions or whatever, and then she ended up getting the part and knocked it out of the park.
Right.
And, whoa, here's our captain. I guess the original one, and I don't even remember her name, just didn't take charge. like nobody believed her performance. She just did not seem authoritative enough, where Kate had it in spades.
Right, exactly. And the thing that I found interesting about this particular conversation when we saw Kate was, I knew she was an intelligent woman, obviously, but I hadn't realized she talked a lot more about her upbringing, and she basically was a literature fiend. I mean, she had done a ton of reading and learning through literature in her younger days. And I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, they're, like I said, they're both brilliant actresses, but they came from different places. That's for sure.
Yes. Yes, they did. And then, as I think I've hinted at or actually said, we did see Jodie Whittaker do her Q&A panel. Right. And that was very good. I guess what I like about her is her exuberance and her enthusiasm, and she is just happy about life and happy about everything, and was extremely grateful to play the first Doctor that's a female in Doctor Who. There have been other Time Lords, like the Master went through a female incarnation, but the Doctor had never. So listening to her gets a little bit difficult because she does have a very heavy British accent and she talks very fast. So again, we got to see another female actress talking about breaking the barrier and becoming the first in yet another TV show.
Right. But I tell you, despite the fact that we got to see these fantastic actresses and actors up close and personal, I have to tell you that one of the things that surprised me immensely was the amateur wrestling.
Yeah, so
oh my
I'll try
gosh.
to do a little background on that. So I've mentioned that I listened to the Stay Doomed podcast, which is by Plus Two Comedy, and the guy that is half of that team, his name is Noah Houlihan, and he is involved with some amateur professional wrestling.
Yeah, amateur
independent.
Yeah, there you go.
Independent professional
amateur
wrestling.
professional wrestling.
Yeah. It's a whole new category.
Oh yeah,
just invented it. Yeah. So he's involved with Philadelphia area Independent Professional Wrestling Association, and he does some ring announcing and he does some other things. And so he was there with all of that, and there was a chance that we were going to be able to see one of them. So we went to check it out, and wow, it is something.
Oh,
you tell me how you would describe that.
Well, it's everything. Well, the first thing that I thought of was the episode in South Park where the kids become professional wrestlers.
Okay, yeah.
And I know we talked about this, but apparently maybe you haven't seen the episode.
Well, I've seen it.
Oh, okay. But the whole thing about the South Park stuff is it really has absolutely nothing to do with wrestling. It's all about the backstory of the characters. And what I found thoroughly entertaining was that these semi-professional Philadelphia group basically had the same kind of approach. There was a backstory, there was a tagline, there was a signature move, and so, all obviously having come in from the dark and sat down, I couldn't stop laughing at the whole idea of it. Again, it has nothing to do with the wrestling. The bad guys tend to always win. The good guys always have to fight their way back to the top. And maybe if you're an A-liner or whatever they call it, you're a headliner or whatever, maybe you can win because you're the headliner. But under normal circumstances, the bad guy has to win.
Right.
So it was scripted. It was choreographed. It was planned. But it was also funny.
It was entertaining.
Entertaining. Yes, that's the key. That's the key.
And just in case there's people out there screaming into their screaming at their computer screen. The official terms in the wrestling world is the face and the heel.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to good guy and bad guy.
Oh,
it's
okay.
The face
okay.
and the heel.
I got you. And the face always gets it with the heel in the face.
That's right. Yes, that's a signature move.
And at some point, they decided it would be hysterical to bring a cardboard cutout of John Cena, right, into this arena, and they would all be terribly frightened because here comes John Cena as a cardboard cutout, and for some reason, that was scary.
Yes. Well, John Cena was at the convention.
He was.
So he did have a convention appearance, and he was signing autographs and taking pictures and doing a panel at the same event that the independent wrestling was happening. So in order to do a joke, not necessarily a good joke, not necessarily a joke that fooled anybody, but they would be saying that later on in the match we're going to have a special guest appearance by John Cena. And everybody was supposed to think that the real John Cena was going to make an appearance at this little independent wrestling thing. Of course, it wasn't. It was just the cardboard cutout that they dragged out and were all afraid of.
Right. I mean, it made my heart warm. I was excited to, at some level, that these folks were giving it their all, and they had a fan base. I mean, there were people there that really understood and knew these wrestlers.
Yes.
And their stories. And they would chant, and they would, yell out the signature move, and they get all excited.
There would be a call and response.
And it just got me excited that there was something like that at this particular convention. It was way better than I would have anticipated. When you suggested that we go in and sit down, I thought, what have I committed to? But I gotta say, I'm glad I went.
Oh, yes, absolutely. A couple of things I want to go back to real quick. I did get an autograph from Jodie Whittaker. And so I did get to meet her and talk with her and tell her how much I enjoyed watching her on Doctor Who and how happy I was that she did such a fantastic job, even though the entire Doctor Who fandom does not necessarily agree with me, but wanted her to know I was on her side. And when I was there, after I finished with Jodie Whittaker, Helen Hunt was at the table right next to her, and she didn't have anybody in line for autographs. So I took a couple of steps toward her table, caught her eye, and said, "Can I come say hi?" And she was like, "Of course," because she's not Eli Roth.
Didn't have a bodyguard protecting her?
Didn't have a bodyguard. Yeah, Helen Hunt.
Yeah, who the hell is Eli Roth, right?
Yeah. So anyway, I went up to her. "Hi, enjoy your work." I told her that Barbara Kingsolver is also Denise's, one of her favorite authors, and I was going to tell her about Demon Copperhead, and she's actually got it on a wait list for her at the library. So, there's only so many copies the library has, even if it's a digital copy. So she's on a wait list for it. And Helen said something like, "Oh, she's got, quite a surprise or quite a treat ahead of her."
That's great.
Denise said, "It is the saddest book I have ever read."
Oh, jeez. Oh, my gosh.
She's like, just when you think it couldn't get any worse for these people, it gets worse. And then it gets worse. So, I mean, it's a good story, but it's not any kind of a feel-good, happy type of a story. And then, did we see Heather Graham talk?
I want to say yes, but I don't recall.
I think we...
Yes, we did, because I have pictures of her.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. So, yeah, we did see Heather Graham. I don't remember anything about what she talked about. Of course, The Spy Who Shagged Me and all of that other things. But I did get her autograph as well. Got to say hello and all of that. But now I want to jump to Multiverse Got Talent, which is where we got to see 3 different comedians
Right.
who were dressed up as cosplay. It was like cosplay comedy.
Right. Genre-specific cosplay comedy.
Correct. So there were 3 different comedians. Noah Houlihan was one of them. He's the one that told me that they were doing it, so I looked for it on the schedule and we carved out a time to go see it. And he was by far the best of the comedians.
Oh gosh, he was very good. Very, very good.
And he dressed up as the Riddler.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in cosplay as the Riddler, and he did his stand-up act, and it was well-crafted and well-rehearsed and well-timed, and he did a brilliant job.
He did. I was very impressed.
There were 2 other comedians there. They were okay. They weren't as polished, I'll say, as Noah was. And one was dressed up as Arthur Dent. He might have even been the MC. Was he the MC?
Yes, he was. He was the MC.
Did he do an act, or did he just MC?
I think he was just doing the MCing.
Okay, but he was dressed up as Arthur Dent. And to me, the funniest thing in that whole Multiverse Got Talent comedy, cosplay comedy that we saw, aside from Noah's set, was you caught his eye. So there's a...
Right.
The MC is dressed up as Arthur Dent because he can put on a robe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pretty much, that's cosplay. Pajama bottoms, a robe, and slippers.
Yep.
And you're cosplaying Arthur Dent.
That's right.
And you're wearing your shirt that I created. You kind of came up with the idea with me, and then I created it, which is the You Have Been Diverted shirt.
Right.
So...
in neon letters. Yep.
Yes. In Life, the Universe, and Everything, Arthur gets transported to this black cave where all he can see are the neon letters that say you have been diverted. And we did it like a concert shirt, and the back of it, rather than having all the tour locations and tour dates, I have the dates of Agrajag's deaths and how he died and all of that. It's kind of a cool shirt, and I like it. I've got my own.
It is. I think it's a fantastic shirt.
However, I'm going to say there's a better than average chance that the guy cosplaying as Arthur Dent read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy once and never did any other books.
No,
so
I don't
when
think
you're
so.
holding your shirt and you're looking, hey, look, you have been diverted, and he's looking at you, probably having no idea what in the world it is that you're talking about.
Right.
I could be wrong.
Right.
But he didn't run over saying it was the greatest shirt he ever saw.
No, he didn't. Yeah, it was almost as if he might have been like a fan of maybe the original TV show, maybe the movie. You know,
right.
He might not have even read the book. But yeah, that was funny. You know, I love that T-shirt, and I was surprised that he didn't quite get it. You know,
and I wasn't. I don't expect anybody to get it. To me, it's a super fan who's going to get some of the shirts that I've created for hitchhikers.
Yeah, it's a bit of a deep dive, but you know, I love it.
Yes. Oh, we did get to see Aaron Reynolds sitting in Artist Alley, and he is the Effin' Birds book and trading card designer. And
right, he was excited to see you.
Yes.
And at the end, you had some fantastic news, didn't you?
Right. But the first thing is he saw our T-shirts that were very Hitchhikers and Douglas Adams specific, which is a sore point for him because unfortunately he has had some financial trouble, as in having trouble getting finances that he is owed from the Douglas Adams estate.
So we were able to bring him a special kind of misery as he explained it to us.
And even though we did that to him, he helped me collect the entire set of Effing Birds cards. So I bought some more cards. I got 5 of the 10 that I needed, and I took all of my extras and I put them on his table because he likes to do trades, and he was having people buy cards to see if he could fill my set, and he did.
And in the end, he indicated to us that you would be one of 3 people in the world
Yes, that he
was aware of, that has a complete set.
Right.
Quite unique.
Yes, I am excited about it. I am extremely happy about that.
But I thought what was funny was that shortly after he described to us the misery that our shirts created for him, we walked down the artist alley, and you had previously looked up a gentleman by the name of DiCarlo, who is an artist who did a couple of covers for the Warlord comic, which is the one that I collect and collected at the time that they were actually produced. So
Right.
we walked down the aisle, introduced ourselves to Mr. DiCarlo, and I handed him my comic book, the Warlord comic book, and he looks at it, and he looks at the cover, and then he opens up the insides, and he's kind of contemplating the cover and the insides and the cover and the insides. And then he describes to us that we've brought him some special kind of misery. Because although he had done the color work, I think he said in this particular comic, he was never credited as having done it. So again, we were bringing misery wherever we went.
Right. Yes.
But I just love these covers of his, and now I have 2 signed covers that I will cherish.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I don't remember the ones. I lost my list, and then after they were signed, I filed them into my comic collection. But I believe I had 3 different comic books signed. A Xena one, a Hercules one, and a Firefly one, I think.
Right,
So,
right.
Yes.
Right. And that's always fun to trace those guys down and get their signatures and hear their story. And of course, we did do our traditional thing of attending the sketch duels.
Yes, we did. Because we have to go. That's the only reason we go.
It sometimes feels like it's the only reason we go. But,
trying to get free art.
Yeah, free art. And we did have one winning event. I can tell you that I was a winner this time.
Yep.
And I got what I was led to believe was a Pokemon version of Spider-Man.
Right. Right.
Very, very, very strange image. Very, very strange image. But
yes.
The one sketch duel that had an impact on me, I think you were impressed as well, was the one where Milton was one of the artists, and he was telling his story, and that's what I really like about these sketch duels. When the artists talk about their motivations and about how they got into the industry. And Mel had quite an entertaining life prior to becoming an artist. And he said something about being a maker and being a creator that really kind of struck home with me. And what he said in the conversation that he had with the audience is that you are the first audience. That when you're creating something, the first person that you have to please is yourself. And it really resonated with me, what he said. And later we took the opportunity to walk the artist alley and speak with him again after the sketch duel.
Yes, and he was very easy to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes you go and there's an artist and you're getting an autograph or whatever, and you want to have some kind of a conversation possibly, but they don't. So,
exactly.
They'll talk to you a little bit, but they're not doing anything to keep you around. They're just trying to give you a pause where you can say, well, nice meeting you, and walk away. But Mel was fantastic.
Right. And it was funny because after we spoke with him at the table, you and I sort of drifted away from the table, and we were like, I really would like to have a piece of art or a card or something by him, but who are we going to get him to draw? And
because he's a Disney artist.
Right. He done...
And what's the card game that he drew for?
Arcana?
Okay.
Or Arcana? I'm not sure exactly how they pronounce that. But yeah, he's done cards for the Disney group. And when we walked away, you and I had a conversation, and we came up with what I think were the perfect solution. And we went back and had Mel create an image for me of the Angelina Jolie Maleficent.
Right.
And for you...
Well, he also had a binder full of blank trading cards, which was awesome. So he would do a trading card size, which is exactly what I want. I had recently seen the movie Cruella starring Emma Stone and thought it was absolutely fantastic. And rather than getting the old crotchety 101 Dalmatian Cruella on a card, I wanted the young punk Emma Stone version of Cruella. And so then he drew that for me, and it's incredible. It's
magnificent. I mean, both of them I think are fantastic, but I just the little twist of the lip and the little color of red that he put into your image of
yes,
Cruella are, I mean, it's something to behold. And while we were there, I mean, both of those images were just phenomenal. While we were there, next to him was a gentleman by the name of Bobby Breed, and the art of Breed was his thing. So I got an opportunity to speak with him at some length and decided to have him do a sketch of, actually a picture of my wife, which I gave him in the Mardi Gras death makeup.
Right. He had fantastic style and some absolutely incredible pieces up on the back wall. And to have a picture of Lorraine drawn in the Mardi Gras death style, I asked you what you thought that Lorraine would think of it, and you basically said something like, she's never going to see it.
Exactly. I'm not sure how she would respond to it, but I know that it's going to be a beautiful image, and then I'm going to I'm going to hang it here in my office. Eventually, she'll see it and wonder what it is. But
right. Who's that?
Exactly. But I did get a text message from him just a few days ago, and from what I understand, the image is on its way.
Right. And I've not posted anything on Instagram for a while, mostly because when I look at how many views, it's usually 0. So I know that nobody's missing out on anything. But if you're listening and you want to see them, I am going to do my best to put them up in the Instagram account so they are available. So you'll have to send me the copy of the Maleficent so I can put it in there.
Absolutely. And I would highly recommend that if you get a chance to take a peek at that, these are some incredible artists doing some incredible work. And I'm glad that we were able to, provide some financial reimbursement to both Mel and to Bobby, because they go out of their way to be at these conventions, and they're the nicest people that you could meet. So,
yes, absolutely. And it just reminded me of our conversation with them about something that I've blocked from my mind.
Really?
What do you remember about Saturday night?
Saturday night. Wasn't that the night we went to we were going to go to the, what the heck did they call that? It was like a rave for artists.
It was like an after party rave. It was god awful for a couple of 60-plus-year-old guys wandering around this techno music that was so loud you couldn't even think.
No, your ears were bleeding because the sound was so loud. And I can't even imagine. It was a huge facility that they had it in. It was all pitch black in there, and they had like 4 chairs set up for the artists who would be doing mad scramble to create art that they would auction off at the end.
Right.
And I know that was Mel did one, Bobby did one, I think. We didn't stay for either of those. We didn't stay for that. It was just painful.
Yes. Yeah. So we went and had a nice quiet dinner. Somewhere.
Yeah, we did. And I thought the dinner was fantastic.
Yeah. But man, I'll tell you that there was, I don't even know how You know how you walk in somewhere and you look at the people and you listen to the music and you look at the surrounding and you're like, I have no business being here.
I am the wrong generation.
This is not for me.
Oh my gosh, yes. I did feel funny, because it probably got more people after we left than when we were there. So we were there early and the beer was warm and the crowd was thin.
Yeah, so I thought, well, as long as I'm here, we'll have one beer and then we'll go. And I went up to the bar and the bartender and I'm like, what do you got beer-wise? And he basically said, we just got here and we just put it on ice, so it's still warm. I'm like, seriously? How does that happen?
I don't know. But yeah, we were definitely fish out of water in that event.
Definitely.
But overall, I'd say that, like you said in the beginning, though, this whole event at FanEXPO Philadelphia was very enjoyable.
Absolutely.
We had more fun than I think we had the right to.
Yeah.
And it certainly was different, and I expect I shouldn't have such narrow expectations of what these events are going to be, because as we've proven over and over again, it's going to be a different time every time we go.
Yeah, and we go into enough of them, and I don't know what it is, but I think we're getting better at planning.
I agree. I think that may be the key, that we've been to enough of them that we can understand what it is that we enjoy and what it is that will light up our day.
Right. One last little note before we leave. The previous 2 FanEXPO Phillies, I had met the artist Ted Woods, and he had done in 2 different times my Firefly trading cards.
Right.
And when we got there the first day, we were just wanted to say hi. I didn't have any other thing that I needed to have drawn at that time, and I couldn't think of anything that I needed from Ted, but I did want to go and say hi and talk about how much I enjoyed what he did. And he wasn't there.
I know. It's weird, wasn't it?
Yeah. So then the next day, Saturday, all of a sudden, there he was. I'm like, where did you come from? And he had a story about getting behind schedule and not getting his table request in on time. And he just had a whole nightmare of things going on. And he thought he was going to miss it. But he just, last ditch effort, went to somebody at the head of FanEXPO and said, do you have a table? And they're like, yeah. He's like, he slapped his money down. Here.
Take my money.
Take my money. So we got to say hi to Ted.
Yeah, that was fun. Okay, Jeff, now that we've spilled our brains out on the floor.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, next is going to be the first issue of the 3rd Dirk Gently comic called A Salmon of Doubt.
Oh, okay.
This is going to be a longer comic. It's going to be 9 issues instead of the 5 that the previous 2 were. And this one is going to coincide a little bit more with the TV show, as I've deemed from looking at the cover of the first issue.
Right, and we got a little taste of that, I think, in that we believe that one of the characters we've seen in the previous comic books has been Bart as a child.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're assuming that we're going to see our friend Bart again in these upcoming comic books.
And I can't wait.
That's exciting, Jeff.
So now that we know what's happening next, I think I'm going to say that this is the end.
Was there any mention in the play about the conversation between Jordan and Susan?
Jordan.
Jordan. What? Isn't that right? Gordon.
It's Gordon.
Oh, damn it. Let me try it again. Like you said at the beginning, the event was much more fun. I want to say that again.
funner.
Yeah, that didn't sound right.
It was the perfect words, but you said them with a weird
I know.
cadence.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for listening to this. A new episode is released on the first Thursday of every month. A special thank you goes out to Luke, Max, Greg, and Tim Lesnick for arranging and performing our opening theme. Visit our website at digitalwatchesareaprettynetidea.buzzsprout.com. While there, you can find links to all of my Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy inspired t-shirt designs. You can contact us via email at digitalwatchespodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook at Digital Watches Are a Pretty Neat Idea. You can message us on Twitter, or should I say X, at Watches Idea, and our Instagram is Watches Idea Podcast.
This has been a Froods for Thought production.